Something's wrong with this car, mate. It's the worst it's ever been." Lewis Hamilton didn't hold back. He didn't sugarcoat it or hide behind polite soundbites or corporate diplomacy. As soon as the checkered flag dropped in Barcelona, his voice crackled over the team radio, and what he said left no room for interpretation. "I believe we've got something wrong with this car, mate. It's the worst it's ever been." That wasn't just frustration. That was a man who's had enough. A 7-time world champion, now knee-deep in what he described as the worst race I've experienced balance-wise, driving for the most historic team in Formula One, and yet, with nothing to show for it but regret, radio silence, and another weekend to forget. But that message, that tone, wasn't just about a disappointing result. It was the tip of an iceberg that's been growing beneath the surface for weeks. An iceberg made of missed opportunities, broken communication, and a car that simply doesn't behave the way Hamilton needs it to. And behind it all, a brewing storm between driver and engineer that could now shape the rest of his debut season with Ferrari. Because for all the glitz and romance of that iconic red suit, things are starting to look very messy behind the scenes. And you're about to find out exactly why. In this video, we're digging deep into the disaster that was the Spanish Grand Prix, how Ferrari's strategy unraveled, why Hamilton's relationship with Riccardo Adami is facing its biggest test yet. This isn't just a race review. It's a look into the most fragile moment of Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari journey so far, and why, if things don't change now, the damage could be irreversible. So before we go any further, make sure you give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Because by the time we get to the end of this story, you'll understand just how close Ferrari might be to wasting the biggest signing of the decade, and trust me, you don't want to miss a single detail. It all began with something that's been in short supply for Lewis Hamilton this season: hope. Barcelona was meant to be the spark. The track, the conditions, the preparation, everything pointed toward a possible breakthrough. Qualifying offered a glimpse of the Hamilton we've known for years: calm, focused, composed, P5 on the grid, ahead of Charles Leclerc and just behind the McLarens. A clean start, a strong first corner, and a move on George Russell set the tone early. For the first few laps, it felt like Ferrari had finally found the formula. But that feeling evaporated almost instantly. The car that had given Hamilton confidence on Saturday vanished on Sunday. From the very first lap, the SF25 became a problem child. The balance had shifted. The rear was twitchy, unstable. The grip he relied on simply wasn't there. He was constantly adjusting, constantly trying to hold it together. What had felt promising one day had become undrivable the next. Every corner was a fight. Every throttle input required hesitation. And Hamilton, as much as he tried to adapt, was soon driving a race of survival rather than performance. Then came the moment that's become all too familiar. Behind him, Leclerc was clearly faster. The pit wall didn't wait long. The instruction was short, direct, and unemotional. Swap positions. Hamilton didn't question it. He didn't even hesitate. He moved aside. But that silence, that decision not to speak up, not to argue or even comment, was the real story. Because this wasn't about playing the team game or being a good teammate. This was about something deeper. A driver who has lost confidence in the very people who are supposed to fight alongside him. And when a driver like Lewis Hamilton, a driver who has spent his entire career pushing back when things don't feel right, simply obeys without resistance, you know something's broken. And that was just the beginning of a race that went from frustrating to humiliating. Midway through the Grand Prix, a new problem surfaced. Hamilton reported a shifting issue, a possible gearbox problem that needed quick attention. But what followed wasn't swift or decisive. It was confusion. Adami, his race engineer, asked him to try the downshift again. Hamilton's reply came through sharply: "I just told you, it's working." When told to pit, Hamilton brushed it off. "I can do the start, dude. It's fine." This wasn't a debate. This wasn't even a disagreement. It was a dismissal, a clear sign that the driver no longer believes the pit wall has control of the situation. This isn't about a single radio exchange. It's about a growing trend that's now impossible to ignore. Ever since Hamilton joined Ferrari, his dynamic with Adami has felt forced, disconnected, the kind of relationship that lacks the fluid, instinctive trust we saw for years with Peter Bonington at Mercedes. It's not just that they're not aligned. It's that they don't seem to be operating on the same wavelength at all. We've seen the cracks before. In Miami, when the team hesitated to order Leclerc to move aside, Hamilton responded with sarcasm, "Have a tea break while you're at it." It was played off as humor, but it masked real frustration, irritation. Then came Monaco, where he crossed the line in fifth and asked over the radio, "Are you upset with me or something?" And got no reply. Complete silence.